Why Garrett Crochet is still very much in the Cy Young race despite a tough outing in Houston.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And want to know the best part? It's completely free. So make sure you tune in because Locked On is here for you every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. Welcome to the show. Normally, I would start the show off by saying happy whatever day it is, but things have been frustrating in Red Sox land. Took a tough 7-6 loss last night against the Astros and have now dropped 4 of their last 5 games. So it's really tough to be optimistic on this Tuesday. It's a tough road trip that they are on right now. We knew they were going to be tested against both the Padres and the Astros, but with Garrett Crochet pitching last night, everybody thought the Red Sox were in good shape. When your ace is on the mound, you want to feel like you're going to get that win. But he had a very rare bad outing. Genuinely was probably his worst outing of the season. I'm going to be going over that on today's show, as well as talking about a couple new players that have joined the Red Sox roster and the corresponding roster moves that came with them. But you think about Garrett Crochet and all that he's done for this Red Sox team this season. He has truly lived up to that title of being that number 1 starting pitcher that the Red Sox have needed all season long. And you think about all of the ways in which he has helped this team to be in a playoff spot. And he's your ace. He's the guy you're going to go to as that number 1. But he struggled in his outing last night as he started the game against the Astros, in which the Red Sox lost 7-6. He threw just 4 innings, giving up 7 hits and 5 earned runs with 1 walk and 5 strikeouts. He did give up a home run in there. He threw 86 pitches with 61 of them going for strikes, and his ERA is now up to a 2.48. So obviously he didn't provide the length that the Red Sox were hoping to get from him, and having to go to the bullpen early isn't exactly something that Alex Cora wanted or was expecting to have to do in a game like that. But the first couple innings were really smooth for him. He looked really dominant in innings 1 and 2. And then in innings 3 and 4, the wheels kind of just fell off the bus for Crochet, and he was just giving up a lot of hits, and the Astros were just figuring him out. One of the biggest problems that he had in this game was that he just didn't have the command of his fastball that he normally does. That was a pitch that was a struggle for him to feel in this outing. And the velocity was still there for sure. That's not something that I was concerned about in this outing. It was just that he didn't really have the best feel for his fastball, and he was just straight up getting hit. And it happens again to everybody. Nobody's perfect, and everybody is due for a bad outing at some point. And the fact that it took until August 11th for him to truly have a bad outing with the Boston Red Sox just shows how dominant he's been for this team all season long. So obviously not an ideal outing for him, but he's still very much in the Cy Young race. To go along with his 2.48 ERA on the season, he has a record of 13-4 over 24 games started. He's thrown 152.1 innings with 188 strikeouts and a 1.10 whip. So those numbers are still very much dominant. And if you don't know what whip is, it basically means walks plus hits per inning pitched. So essentially it's a statistic that's used to evaluate a pitcher's effectiveness by measuring how many base runners they allow on average. A lower whip indicates better performance, with a whip below 1.1 considered excellent. So he could be a little bit better. And what elevates that for him is his walk rate, which is a little bit higher than his main competition for the American League Cy Young Award in Tarik Skubal. Now, Skubal is the reigning winner and leads in some advanced metrics like FWAR, which for Skubal is a 5.2 right now, which is a strong number that he possesses. What is FWAR? FWAR stands for Fangraphs wins above replacement. So essentially, according to Fangraphs, how many wins does a player provide that a standard replacement level player hypothetically would be able to get you? So essentially, it estimates how many more wins a player contributes to their team compared to a readily available substitute. So basically, Tarik Skubal gets his Tigers team about 5+ extra wins because of him being out there. So that's something that is going to work to his advantage when it comes to the Cy Young race right now. Tarik Skubal also leads in FIP with a 1.91. What exactly is FIP? So FIP stands for fielding independent pitching. So essentially, this is a statistic that estimates a pitcher's performance based solely on events within their control. So that means strikeouts, walks, hit batters, and home runs allowed. It essentially tries to isolate a pitcher's effectiveness from the impact of their defense. So essentially, it focuses on what pitchers can directly influence getting batters out through strikeouts, preventing walks, and hit batters, and preventing home runs, because those are all things that the pitcher directly controls. Whereas if somebody gets a hit, the defense theoretically could impact that because they have to make a play on it. So theoretically, if a player gets to second base, for example, when they should have gotten to first base, that's more on the defense behind the pitcher. So it basically just filters out anything that a pitcher themselves control. So it's calculated using a formula that assigns run values to strikeouts, walks, hit batters, and home runs. The specific formula may vary slightly depending on the source, but it generally includes those elements, and it's often seen as a more predictive measure of a pitcher's future performance than ERA, as it's less susceptible to random fluctuations caused by a team's fielding. So that's why FIP is a metric that is used to evaluate pitchers a lot better. What's considered a good FIP? Something that's considered to be below 4 with a score around 3 or lower being excellent. So obviously in Tarik Skubal's case, his FIP is very good with a 1.91. So then you look at Garrett Crochet and you compare it to him, and those are stats that he doesn't have on Skubal. So for Crochet, his WAR is a 4.9. So essentially, the Red Sox get about 4+ more wins with him, whereas with Skubal, it's 5.2. So his team gets about 5+ more wins with him. FIP, Garrett Crochet's, is 2.48. And then you look at Skubal and it goes to that dominant 1.91. So those are areas in which you definitely could see that Skubal has the upper hand. But there are other categories in which Garrett Crochet leads. He's leading in innings pitched and strikeouts right now. He has one more strikeout on the season than Skubal, who has 187 compared to Garrett's 188. Skubal has a better whip of .86. Garrett Crochet has a 1.10 whip. So there are certain things that Skubal has on Crochet. The ERA isn't much better, though. A 2.35 ERA for him compared to a 2.48 for Crochet. So there are definitely scenarios in which you could make the argument that Garrett Crochet could get the Cy Young. He does have a higher walk rate at 6.7% than Skubal has, because his walk rate is just 3.3%. So that's something to keep in mind too, is that something that could fluctuate his numbers a little bit, is because he does have a problem with walking people. But it's going to be a tight race because a lot of their internal stats are closer than you might think. Garrett Crochet is in the 93rd percentile in K percentage. Skubal's in the 96th percentile for that. And then you look at other statistical categories as well. You look at fastball velo. Tarik Skubal is in the 92nd percentile, 79th percentile for Crochet, so he's a little behind in that category, but they both are considered great in many different metrics throughout the game. Ultimately, Skubal still gets the edge because he, even for example, in ground ball percentage, is in the 43rd percentile, whereas Crochet for that is in the 82nd percentile. So Tarik Skubal doesn't generate as much weak contact as Crochet has generated over the course of this season. So that's one thing that Crochet could have going for him. But generally, when you look at the breakdown of where these guys are at, Skubal does get the edge. In chase percentage, he's in the 96th percentile, whereas Crochet is in the 85th percentile. So Skubal does get guys to chase pitches more. So in summary, at the end of the day, they both have been dominant. If you compare their numbers, Skubal slightly gets the edge, but Garrett Crochet still is very much in the Cy Young race. This is the type of thing to where it could come down to the wire. Skubal didn't have a great outing his last time out either. He gave up 4 runs in 4 2/3 innings against the Angels. So you never really know. If he struggles again and Garrett Crochet pitches really well the rest of the season, then there is a chance that he gets it. So this was a one-time thing. Garrett Crochet is still the ace. He is the type of pitcher that we know can bounce back. He gave up 5 runs to the Yankees earlier this season. In that outing, there was a little bit of bad luck involved, but he was able to bounce back pretty quickly. So he'll still very much be in it, and his next outing will definitely be better than this one was. But coming up, the Red Sox have added a catcher to the roster. What exactly is their catching situation going to look like moving forward? That's going to be discussed next. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. I used to work in recruiting, so that was very much commission-based. So if I had a candidate call me and I missed it, or if I had a potential client call me that wanted to work with our company on its recruiting services, I could miss out on a lot of money, because if I miss their call and they don't call back and I don't get a chance to call them back, that's wasted business. So that's where Open Phone comes into play, which is the #1 business phone system that helps you streamline and scale customer communication, all from an app on your phone or computer. Open Phone is offering Locked On Red Sox listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/lockedon. That's openphone.com/lockedonmlb. And if you have existing numbers with another service, Open Phone will port them over at no extra charge. Open Phone, no missed calls, no missed customers. If you're in a sales-based business, I can speak from personal experience. It really will benefit you. So make sure that you utilize it. You know what else will benefit you? If you are looking to win lots of money, check out FanDuel. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. The Boston Red Sox are in a bit of a tough stretch right now, and we knew that there was a chance that they would struggle on this road trip because both the Padres and the Astros are not only very good baseball teams, but they're both particularly good teams at home. The Astros especially have been playing very good baseball at home. And last night was a pretty bittersweet feeling for Astros fans because they were really excited about Carlos Correa making his return. It was his first home game of the season with the Astros, first game in an Astros uniform at Minute Maid Park since 2021. So fans were super excited about that. But Alex Bregman also made his return to the ballpark in a different uniform. And what did he do? Hit a 2-run home run in his first at bat of the game, which led to the fans booing him the rest of the times he was at the plate. So a lot of emotion that went into last night's game. And Garrett Crochet definitely felt some of that emotion in a frustrating way because he didn't have his best outing of the season. I have no doubts that he will bounce back. That's what an ace caliber pitcher does, and we've seen him bounce back before, so I'm definitely not concerned about it in the longer term. But the Red Sox did make some interesting roster moves, including adding catcher Ali Sánchez to the roster. This is a guy that the Red Sox claimed off of waivers from the Toronto Blue Jays last week because Carlos Narváez was dealing with some knee pain. So the Red Sox wanted to make sure that they had another catcher on the roster in case he had to miss an extended period of time. But when they picked him up, they knew that he was out of minor league options. So the Red Sox couldn't send him to Worcester. They had no choice but to be able to activate him and find a spot for him on the major league team. So there were questions about whether Connor Wong would be sent down to Worcester because he has options left. And it was a possibility that the Red Sox were playing around with, but ultimately they decided instead that they are going with 3 catchers on their roster. So when they activated Sanchez, they ended up optioning David Hamilton to Triple-A Worcester. And nobody should be surprised by that. Hamilton ended up getting called back up when Marcelo Meyer went down with his injury, but this was a move that made logical sense. The Red Sox needed to make a 26-man roster move, so David Hamilton went down to Worcester. He joins a 26-man roster that already has 2 catchers in Carlos Narváez and Connor Wong, and Alex Cora basically explained that it makes sense for the team right now to carry 3 catchers on the roster in order to manage the workload of Carlos Narváez in particular. He returned to the lineup last night after not starting the past 4 games due to that knee soreness that he was experiencing. And on top of that, the Red Sox are also mindful of the fact that the rookie catcher already has caught 716 innings, exceeding his previous career high of 565 and a third innings between Double-A and Triple-A in 2023. He was taking on a ton of the workload because he was separating himself as the clear number 1 starting catcher. So the Red Sox wanted to get him into the lineup as much as they could, with Connor Wong being the backup. So as a result, Narváez was getting a lot of work in, and he was really feeling fatigued from it. And in the second half of the season, he's been struggling. He's just 5 for 45, which is a 111 batting average with a 149 on base percentage, 244 slugging, and 393 OPS in 13 games during the second half. He posted a 273 batting average, 347 on base percentage, 439 slugging, and 786 OPS in 73 games with 285 plate appearances during the first half. So his numbers have taken a big decline, and the Red Sox do feel like an overload of work for him is what's causing a lot of that. Alex Cora said taking care of Narvi is important. Understanding where he's at physically, it makes sense. So we'll see how it plays out. Wong, who has a minor league option remaining, has served as the backup catcher this season after being the starter the past 2 years. He definitely has versatility, playing 65 and 2/3 innings at first base, 29 innings at second base, 2 innings in left field, and 1 inning at third base during his major league career. So he's kind of been a little bit of all over the place. And Alex Cora actually said that he'll get some reps at first, take ground balls at second, and we'll see how the roster looks in a few weeks. So they're not opposed to Connor Wong trying out different spots. And if the Red Sox need him to play elsewhere, and then they kind of have Sanchez and Narváez primarily split the catching role, that could be a direction that they lean in, but they want to keep all three on the active roster. So that way, then rather than forcing Carlos Narváez to work more, they could keep him out of the lineup a little bit just to give him some more rest and allow Wong and Sanchez to take over more of that workload for now in the catching spot. Cora mentioned that Sanchez, who has also played some first base in the minors and in the Venezuelan Winter League, is willing to do whatever for the team, so they might not be closing the door on him playing first base either. Cora said we'll see how it goes. I think it makes sense where we're at right now. We're going to miss Hammy. He was becoming a weapon late in games. We don't have that speed factor, but for now, this is what makes sense for the roster, so we'll roll with it. And that's the thing with David Hamilton is although he couldn't hit and he would come up empty most of the time at the plate, he did provide some value with his speed and being able to pose a threat in the late innings as a pinch runner and being able to steal bases. So that's something that the Red Sox will miss from him, but that was the roster move that made the most sense. Sanchez is a 28-year-old native of Venezuela who batted .238, going 5 for 21 with a .238 on base percentage and .333 slugging percentage in 8 games for the Blue Jays. He had 2 doubles and 2 runs scored, but no RBIs while striking out 5 times. He also posted a .297 average, .347 on base percentage, .419 slugging, and .766 OPS with 6 homers and 7 doubles in 54 games for Triple-A Buffalo this year, making 199 plate appearances. So he's not this insanely standout offensive player, but the Red Sox do see him as a guy who can at least come in and help the team tread water and contribute a little bit more on the offensive side of the ball. And he's somebody that they're hoping they can get some defensive productivity out of too. But the fact that the Red Sox do have the possibility that they're exploring of him maybe taking some reps at first base or Connor Wong taking some reps at first base, it definitely feels like they're trying to just see what the best way to go about all of this is, because they want to make sure that they don't destroy Carlos Narváez or his game or his confidence, especially with how well he was playing early on. So they 100% know that there's potential there with Narváez, no doubt. They definitely still see him as a catcher of the future for this team, and they see him as a guy who's going to be a big piece of that future puzzle that the Red Sox are trying to create. And he's one of those young players that the Red Sox are going to continue to build around, along with guys like Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer and Sadam Rafaela. You have your building blocks. Wilyer Abreu being part of that as well, along with Garrett Crochet, who the Red Sox have obviously extended already too. So you have pieces, and the Red Sox feel that Carlos Narváez is one of those pieces. And because of how dominant he was in the first half of the season, they know they can't really take advantage of that because they can't afford to lose a catcher who has a lot of talent that he's putting on display. And if his confidence gets ruined, then that could really impact his ability to be effective with the Red Sox moving forward throughout the course of the rest of his career. So because of the fact that they now have another catcher on the roster, they're going to manage his workload a little bit more. So don't be rattled if you don't see Narváez in the lineup as much as you usually do. Down the stretch, when it comes to a playoff push, he's definitely going to be the guy who's catching a lot of those games in the playoffs or even the important games leading up to the playoffs. And that's why the Red Sox want to manage his workload now, because they don't want him to get super fatigued and burned out to the point where they call on him when it comes to playoff time and he's not able to be reliable because he's just been used way too much. So this is a good move for the Red Sox. I thought there was a chance that the Red Sox say, okay, we're optioning Connor Wong, or I thought there was a chance they just DFA Sanchez again once they realized that Narvaez's knee issue was a short-term thing and that he'd be coming back right away. But Alex Cora and the Red Sox feel like having another catcher on the roster and kind of having them all split time will allow Narvaez to really get his body prepped for a potential postseason run. So hopefully that all works out for the team and that this is a catching trio in which the Red Sox feel happy about the way they're managing them. So we'll have to see how that goes. But the Red Sox are promoting somebody from AAA. Who exactly is that player? You're about to learn all about him next. If you're looking for a cool way to rep your team without its logo, head to Game Day Hue today. Game Day Hue makes clean, no logo gear with team-inspired colorways for every pro and college fan base. It's all about letting your colors speak for you. No giant logos, just smart, versatile style that works on game day, on the course, or anywhere in between. My husband loves rocking it on the golf course because they have really comfortable t-shirts and also cool golf gloves. And he uses the gloves every time he goes golfing. So they really do come in handy, and it's attire that you can actually wear on a day-to-day basis. Right now, you can get 15% off with code MLB15 at GameDayHue.com. That's GameDayHue.com. The code even stacks on bundle deals, so now is the time to load up. Let your colors talk, because colors speak louder than words. That's GameDayHue.com, code MLB15. I am telling you, this stuff is so comfortable. I wear my shirt all the time when I'm working out at the gym because it stretches and it's just really good for working out. So make sure you purchase a bunch of stuff today. The Boston Red Sox have officially promoted pitcher Jovani Morán from Triple-A Worcester. Now, who exactly is Jovani Morán? He is a pitcher with an interesting story, and he wasn't even on the 40-man roster. So the Red Sox had to make a couple moves to make room for him. So they ended up calling him up, and they sent left-handed reliever Chris Murphy down to Triple-A Worcester, and they also designated righty Nick Burdi for assignment to clear a 40-man roster spot for Morán. So lots of moving parts, but now there is room actively for him on the roster. So this is a move in which the Red Sox feel like there's a lot of upside with him. He's 28 years old. He's a former Twins reliever who was acquired in the Christmas Eve trade that sent Mickey Gasper to Minnesota. Morán spent the first couple of months of the season finishing his Tommy John rehab and has since made 12 appearances with the Woo Sox, posting a 3.44 ERA and striking out 26 batters in 18 and a third innings. He's a former 7th-round pick from the Twins in 2015, and he appeared in the big leagues in parts of 3 seasons from 2021 to 2023. He emerged as a dominant force for Minnesota in 2022 when he logged a 2.21 ERA and struck out 54 batters in 40 and 2/3 innings. The 2023 season was a struggle in which he logged a 5.31 ERA in 43 big league games before having Tommy John surgery over the winter. He was then non-tendered and re-signed by the Twins during his rehab, then traded as a non-40-man roster player in December. The end of his rehab actually delayed his 2025 debut to June 3rd. And after 2 games in the Florida Complex League and 4 more at High A Greenville, he joined Worcester on June 25th. So he's somebody who the Red Sox are ready to take a chance on in the majors, see if he can help contribute to the team. And Nick Burdi, who was signed to a minor league contract during spring training, appeared in 4 games for the Red Sox in May and June, tossing 5 1/3 scoreless innings before hitting the injured list with a right foot contusion. He was recently activated and returned to Triple-A Worcester, where he owns a dominant 1.88 ERA and 12.0 strikeouts per 9 rate in 24 innings this year. It's expected that he'll draw interest on waivers considering his strong AAA performance, but I hope that he gets another chance somewhere because he really was pitching well. Hamilton obviously has struggled mightily this season, but Chris Murphy had been pitching well before struggling over the weekend in San Diego. He walked 5 batters and recorded just 2 outs in 2 relief appearances versus the Padres. He currently has a 3.05 ERA in 14 outings overall, pitching 20 and 2/3 innings. So I think the Red Sox wanted to make sure that he is getting reps in Triple-A before things continue to spiral out of control with him. So because he struggled in San Diego, they said, okay, let's send him down to Triple-A to get reps there. And the reason I just brought up David Hamilton again is because he was one of the many roster moves that the Red Sox did make on the day yesterday, because he was the move that paved the way for Ali Sánchez to join the roster. So lots of moves that made sense for Boston. But who exactly is Jovani Morán? He is so excited to be in with the team in Boston. He had just finished packing his luggage on Sunday evening for Triple-A Worcester's road trip to Iowa when he received a call from Woo Sox manager Chad Tracy. He said, Tracy just told me that's good that you finished your luggage because you are not going to Iowa, you're going to Houston. He said the news of his promotion took him by surprise, and after hanging up with Chad Tracy, he called his dad, who's been a lifetime Red Sox fan. So this is really personal for him and his family. So the Red Sox are excited about him. Obviously, after undergoing Tommy John surgery, you don't really know what to expect from a pitcher, but he has been able to get back into the groove of things. So as the Red Sox look to keep their bullpen moving and growing and developing and improving throughout the rest of the season, they wanted to get a fresh arm in there. If he struggles, they can send him back down. But for now, they feel like he's ready to contribute at the major league level. So they're ready to give him a shot out of the bullpen, with Chris Murphy, who's been struggling as of late, being back down in Worcester to hopefully try to figure things out there before he comes back up. But he's shown some resiliency. Morán has. He had gotten DFA'd and then he had the surgery, and it was just a really tough process for him. And everything was happening in a small amount of time. So he's just tried his best to do everything the right way. And now he's earned a spot back on the major league team, this time with the Boston Red Sox. So hopefully he is able to show his stuff. His best pitch is his changeup, but he also has cutters and sliders in his arsenal, as well as relying heavily on his fastball. So essentially he has 4 pitches that he primarily uses, with the fastball and changeup being the number 1 and 2. But the cutters and sliders he's been working in just to keep some hitters on their toes. So I'm excited to see what he can bring to the table. But the Red Sox are excited to see a new face in this bullpen and see what he can contribute down the stretch here in the playoff push. But I do appreciate you tuning into Locked On Red Sox and making it your first listen of the day. Be sure to also check out Locked On MLB Game Night. It's our Locked On host talking about every game every single night for the entirety of the season. You can get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. It's a great way to stay caught up on everything that has gone on. I promise you. Make sure you check that out next. Like I always say, keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I will catch you on the flip side.